This is a quick review of the first 4 concepts we have learned in this course. Number 1, the order of operations. Remember that the order of operations are parentheses, exponents, multiply or divide from left to right, and add or subtract from left to right. First thing we're going to do, therefore, is work with our parentheses. Now that means that within the parentheses we need to follow the order of operations. There are no parentheses within our parentheses, so we will go next to our exponents. There is an exponent right here, 4 squared. 4 is the base and 2 is the exponent, so we need to simplify that. So we're going to rewrite our expression 35 minus parenthesis 7 plus 4 squared is 16 because it's 4 times itself. 4 times 4 is 16 divided by 2. Again, I recommend highly that you show every single step so you make less mistakes or errors along the way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply or divide in our parentheses that we're still working in. There is a division problem right here, 16 divided by 2. 16 divided by 2, so we have 35 minus parenthesis 7 plus 16 divided by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Now we're still working within our parentheses, and now we need to add or subtract. So we can add 7 plus 8. So 35 minus 7 plus 8 is 15. And 35 minus 15 is our last thing we need to do, and that is 20. One thing I would like to point out is that if these parentheses right here were not here, we would first do 35 minus 7, and then we would add 8. Instead, we add 7 and 8 because the parentheses tell us to do that first, and then once we get 15, we subtract. Our next concept is evaluating expressions. So, the directions for this problem are to evaluate the expression 2 times the quantity for n plus 5 when n equals 2. So the first thing we need to do is we need to substitute this 2 here in anywhere we see the variable n. So, we have 2 times 4 times the n value of 2. Now I put a dot there to represent multiplication. You could have also put the 2 in parentheses. And then plus 5. Now we are going to simplify this expression using the order of operations as discussed on the previous example. So first parentheses, and we do have a set of parentheses. Within those parentheses, we need to first do parentheses, which there are none, and then we need to do exponents, which there are none, and then we need to multiply or divide. We will do the multiplication next then. We have 2 parentheses, 4 times 2 is 8, and then we have plus 5 and close our parentheses. Now we're going to start the order of operations we're going to keep going, sorry, and now we're going to add or subtract within our parentheses. So we have 2 times 13, because 8 plus 5 is 13, and 2 times 13, our last thing we need to do is multiply, which is 26. The third concept is the distributive property. A reminder that to distribute means to multiply the number outside the parentheses by every term within the parentheses. So we need to make sure to multiply the negative 3, this whole thing, negative 3, by x, so negative 3 times x. And then we also need to, I'm going to back up a second. I'm going to put the minus sign in here. And then we need to multiply this negative 3 by the 7 over here. So that's negative 3 times 7. When we simplify, we have negative 3 times x, so negative 3x. We have minus a negative 3 times 7. So I'm going to do negative 3 times 7 first, so I'm going to keep the subtraction. Negative 3 times 7, negative times positive is negative, 3 times 7 is 21, so we have negative 21. And we can simplify this one further step, so negative 3x, subtracting a negative right here means that we're going to get addition. Subtracting a negative is addition, and we have plus 21. The last concept to review is combining like terms. So this example actually has the distributive property as well as combining like terms in it to review both of those topics. First thing we need to do is we need to distribute the 6 to each term in the parentheses. So we're going to multiply the 6 times 5. And then we are going to multiply the 6 times the x, keeping that subtraction sign right there. 6 times x. And I'm going to rewrite the rest of the expression. So plus 2x minus 1. Now, we need to simplify right here, 6 times 5 and the 6 times x before we continue with any combining like terms. 6 times 5 is 30, minus 6 times x is 6x, plus 2x minus 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to combine any terms that are common. So, for example, if you start left to right, if you see we've got a 30 right here. Well, 30 has no variable part. So are there other parts or other terms that don't have a variable part? This has a variable part. This has a variable part. They both have x. This negative 1 does not. It is a constant. So I'm going to also underline that. So we have a positive 30 and we have a negative 1. So 30 minus 1, which is 29, will be combined. They are like terms. Then we're going to go ahead and look for other like terms. The next thing we have is we have negative 6x. Notice that right next to it we also have positive 2x, which means they both have the same variable part of x. So negative 6x's plus 2x's means that we're going to have negative 4x's, because negative 6 plus 2 equals negative 4. So that'll be our final answer.